everyone, welcome to my channel. I got a lot of people asking me why I would cut so much hair off. I think it was about 52 inches before, but I can't remember the exact measurement, and I cut off 3 feet to donate to Children with Hair Loss, which is a charity that makes wigs and does not charge for them and just gives them to children under 18. So I felt that was a really worthy cause. But the reason I decided to cut my hair was because I was on a mental health journey, and mostly that consisted of taking stock of my issues, figuring out how I function so that I could figure out strategies of helping myself become healthier and function in a better way, because I knew something wasn't right in the way I was, in the way I was handling everyday situations. I don't want to go too much into all my symptoms, that's a story for another day, but in my taking stock and figuring out strategies that help me, I had to figure out the way I think about things too. And one of those things that I've struggled with is self-image. And I know a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about struggling with are considered normal because so many people have them, like my attachment to my hair. I've seen a lot of YouTube videos of people cutting their hair, and there's definitely an emotional component, so that's not something that I consider to be wrong with myself. Same with questioning my self-image, but for me, my hair became too important, and I'll try to explain that a bit, and how I came to that conclusion. Before I became pregnant, the things that I talked about with most people weren't very deep because I tried not to open up too much with most people, and when I did, I just felt guilty about it later. But basically, I tried to keep things superficial, and it helped that when strangers talked to me, pretty much the only thing they mentioned was my hair. So it was kind of a shield. I got to have something about me that caught people's attention enough that even if they did want to talk to me about something else, it was kind of like a distraction, I guess. I don't know if it really was that way, but that's kind of how it seemed to me, like a shield. Well, after I got pregnant and started to show, most things that I ever talked about with anybody was the baby bump or the future of my child. Sometimes people would still comment on my hair, but it never got further than that, and I liked it that way. Well, after I had my son, and as I know is normal, I didn't want to leave him to go back to work or anything. So again, that's something that I realize is not out of the ordinary or unhealthy, but I started to look more inwardly about what exactly my thought processes were when I did leave him. And I realized that even going to see family or anything, the only thing anybody would ask about was my son, which again is normal because he was a huge part of my life all of a sudden. And that was fine, but I realized that I was feeling like I wasn't me anymore because I was us, my son and me. And I think that's normal for a new parent to feel that connection with a child, but it started to lead me to realize that I kind of felt that way about my hair before. Like, I was thinking about cutting it a lot for a few years before I actually did it, but every time that I thought about it, I got scared and didn't pursue it. When I tried to finally think about why I got scared, I realized that I had basically convinced myself that my hair was such a big part of who I am that nobody would like me anymore. I wouldn't have value as a person anymore because that's the only thing most people ever talked about with me. And the only thing most people cared about me. And when I think about it rationally, it makes sense because it was something that you don't see every day, hair that long. So of course it's going to draw attention and it's going to be a big deal to people and they're going to ask questions about it. That's just how it works. But for me, I didn't necessarily want all the people's attention, but I wanted validation. And when lots of strangers would give me validation because of the length of my hair, I felt like it gave me value in the world. So, I don't know, I'm not a psychology professional, but to me it seemed like it wasn't healthy to place so much of my personal value in something so temporary. Like, you can cut hair, you can grow it back. It's not, it doesn't really have a function beyond the physically appealing. And it was becoming a burden for me. And it wasn't just that I was placing too much value on it. It was also that I wasn't taking care of it. It was taking so much emotional energy. Every day I would be like, okay, I have to take it down, brush it, and put it back up. It's gonna get everywhere, it's gonna get into things. I don't know if I have the energy for this. And I would just put it off. Sometimes I didn't even brush it every day because it was just too much, and I don't even want to talk about washing it because it was a burden and I didn't want it. For a few years I just didn't want it, but I was holding on because I was afraid that if I cut it off, I would lose everything about me that had any value. And I knew that wasn't healthy, so I started thinking about making a change. And when I thought about how I could give it to somebody who would appreciate it, that made it all seem worth it. And if I could prove to myself that I do have value beyond it, that would make it worth it too. And at first, I didn't post the video for about 6 months after I actually chopped it off. For that time, I didn't regret it. And I felt like, even though no strangers would come up and talk to me, because there was nothing extraordinary about me anymore, I still felt like I had value, because I had value to me, and I felt cute after I cut my hair. I felt like I didn't have to worry about taking so much time to wash it, brush it, braid it. I couldn't wear it down or it would be everywhere, and when you have hair that long, it's really hard to put it all the way up. So with the nature of my job, it was always in the way, and I was always thinking about it because I had to move it in front of me before sitting down, or it would bother me, get in between the back of the seat and my back, and I had to move it back because it would get caught in a seat belt, buttons, Velcro, everything. I was thinking about it all the time, and it was exhausting. So for everybody who can keep their long hair, so much respect. But for me, it was the right decision not to. And that's not even considering the fact that I had a baby who did not make it any easier to get my hair done. And I also work janitorial. That means I clean toilets. If you can imagine having hair that length while cleaning toilets, I'm just gonna leave it like that. Well, I didn't regret the decision at all until after I posted that video, and the comments I got made me think, maybe I was right the first time. Maybe I don't have value beyond my hair, because so many people were being rude and telling me that I made a mistake, that I wasn't attractive anymore, and yeah, I thought I did make a mistake, and maybe I should have kept it for myself and kept that burden of thinking about it constantly and worrying about it constantly and feeling like it was the only thing that gave me value. Maybe it was the only thing that gave me value. But I had to take a step back and think about how I didn't make the decision I made for them. I made my decision for myself, and I was happy with that decision for 6 months before asking for anybody else's opinion. So I don't regret it, still. I hope that somebody out there is very happy with the wig made from it, and I am very happy to start over with growing my hair out. I do plan to grow it out again, maybe not quite as long, we'll see, but this time it'll be for me, not for anybody else. And I feel like that is huge progress, and it's okay if other people don't agree. It's okay if other people think I made the wrong choice. I know the truth, and that's good enough. And I hope that sharing this story helps somebody out there who's struggling with the same types of issues, who thinks that maybe the way you look or the decisions you make take away or give value to yourself. The choices you make in your appearance, they're not what gives you value. The comments other people do or don't make, they don't give you value. You have to realize the value you have before you can really embrace that value, really have that value. You have value. But until you realize it yourself, it's not going to do you any good. Anyway, that's my ramblings for the day. I hope this sort of clears up the questions people had, and I hope that helps somebody out there in some way. And have a great day.